Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for your Friday Foundation Fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. And today I hope you cannot hear my stomach growling as we check out the Soap & Glory Kick Butt. They didn't say butt. All day wear foundation. I don't swear on this channel. I actually have a terrible potty mouth in real life, but I know that there are children watching and I just don't swear on this channel. And I know that is an innocuous swear word because they allow it to be said on broadcast TV, I think. Is it? I don't know. I'm just not going to say it, just in case. So, we are checking out the Soap & Glory Foundation. Retails for $16. You get 1 fluid ounce of product. Comes in 12 different shades. Soap & Glory is not, by my definition, a cruelty-free brand. They, according to their own website, do not test their formulations on animals, but they do not source cruelty-free ingredients necessarily. So this is a silicone-based foundation. It does not have any added fragrance, although it does have parabens for preservatives. So if you are avoiding parabens, you will not want to try this one. But we are going to check out some of the claims of this foundation. I'm on Ulta's website right now, where for some reason, I swear, the Tarte Face Tape Foundation keeps popping up on my screen. It's like haunting me. It's just coming after me. Come at me, Tarte. I'm ready for you. I won't take it. Okay. This is what we're talking about today. This is lightweight, medium coverage foundation that lasts 24 hours. I will not be testing it for 24 hours. It is sweat-proof and humidity-proof and waterproof. There's no chance of the dreaded cakey face. Don't you just hate that? I'm reading off of their copy. I just really can't stand when they get all cutesy with their copy verbiage, but you know, wow, I'm critical already. This fab formula stays put without smudging or melting off, leaving you looking fresh and flawless around the clock. Supposed to look flawless yet natural. Their instructions say to use fingertip sponge or brush, so you've got a variety of options here. Let's take a look at this one. I've got the lightest shade, I think it is 01, yes. Shade 01, and check out some swatches comparing this to a few others in my collection. Just in case you own one of the others, you might be able to gauge what your proper shade would be in this one. Alrighty, let's swatch. First up is today's foundation, the Soap & Glory Kick A All Day Wear Foundation in shade 01, the lightest shade. Second, I've got the L'Oreal Infallible ProGlow in 201 Classic Ivory. Third up is the CYO LifeProof in shade 101. Fourth is the Revlon PhotoReady Candid in shade 130 Ivory. And last up, I've got the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Perfect in shade F3. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened my mug. I've got a 44-year-old face with some sun damage, some fine lines, deeper smile lines, large pores, texture between the eyebrows. I'm going to do the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge on one side, the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush on the other side. See if there is a preference one way or the other. Packaging wise, we have a pump. I like me a pump, plastic bottle, pump, and let's see what, ooh, that came out quickly. A lot of product comes out, so that's not quite 2 full pumps. Those were really large pumps. Pretty thick formula here. I've primed with the Revlon Pore Reducing Primer. Very light coverage with one pass and the sponge. With such a thick formula, I was expecting it to spread out a little bit more, and I don't feel like I even had quite enough product for coverage. So we'll go in to check if it's buildable once we do the brush side. Let's see how that side goes. Slightly better coverage, I think, with the brush. This really doesn't seem as thick once you start blending it out. It blends out easily for as thick of a formula as it is. I do think I like the brush side just a little better, even though it's looking a little bit heavy on the side of my nose here. Let's see if we can build up my areas where I need just a little bit more coverage. And I think I'm going to use the brush. Let's go almost another pump. I'd say this is definitely medium coverage. It does seem to build up nicely. I'm having just mixed feelings about how I feel about this right now. Let's take a look up close. I feel like my chin looks pretty patchy, even though I did attempt to build up the product a little bit. Around my mouth, it looks heavy, just slightly heavy, and like it's about to cling to dry patches, and it's kind of accentuating my wrinkles around my mouth in a way that I'm having a hard time describing. I feel like maybe it's skipping over wrinkles instead of smoothing over them, and that's why you can see them. I feel like my pores are very visible despite using what is usually my absolute favorite pore filling primer right now. I can kind of see the product sitting on my nose like it's just makeup on top of the skin. My forehead, I think, looks really nice. It's not clinging to the texture between my eyebrows. I really like the finish. It has a nice satin natural finish to it. I just wish it didn't look quite as heavy up close. I think on the monitor it looks very nice. I do really like it's slightly dewy. You know, I'm getting a little of that reflect from the lighting, but I don't think it's over the top. I don't think it's too much. We'll see how that goes. I think I'm probably going to have to set it because it's been a couple minutes and it still feels tacky. I would be a little nervous putting powder products on top of this, but let's go ahead and do the rest of my face. Time is 12:58. Let's call the check-in time 1 o'clock. I'll be right back with the rest of my makeup. Okay, so far so good. I had no trouble blending concealer into this foundation. I have a massive crush on the Julep Cushion Complexion Concealer. No trouble there. I did end up setting the foundation with a powder. I used my Pacifica powder. This is the Crystal Rays Luminous Translucent Setting Powder. And I just lightly set my whole face because it did seem a little bit tacky after a few minutes. Bronzer is True Match Lumi L'Oreal. My blush is the e.l.f. Always Rosy Primer Infused Blush. Highlights is Wet n Wild Zodiac Air. I did not have any trouble blending. I think the only thing I was thinking as I was applying the rest of my makeup was that this undertone of this foundation, of this specific shade, 01, is a little bit of a gray undertone, and I think if you have a neutral base undertone to your skin, you can get away with it. I'm neutral, leaning slightly cool in the winter and slightly warm if I've got any kind of sun to me, but so right now I'd say leaning slightly cool, so I can get away with it, I think, but be aware of that if you have had trouble in the past with like gray undertone type foundations, because this shade does seem to have a bit of a gray undertone to it. My eyes are the e.l.f. Opposites Attract palette. Mascara is CoverGirl Exhibitionist, and my lip is the Revlon Hyper Matte, the Ultra HD Hyper Matte in Death Valley. I basically picked these eye colors because I wanted to wear this lipstick. I love this formula. It wears really, really well, and it touches up really well if you have to eat a meal and touch up. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So that is where we are starting out. We have a 1 o'clock check-in time. I will be back in a few hours with a daylight check-in. Then I will come back at the end of the night, give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, daylight check-in here. It's about 5:20, so we're about 4 hours in. Everything seems to be holding up fine. My main complaint, I just think it looks a little bit heavy, that's all. Finish seems pretty much the same. Color match I think is okay. It's a little dark for me, but I can get away with it. I do think it is a bit of a gray undertone going on, even out in daylight, but And that's where we're at right now. I'll be back at the end of the night with my final thoughts. 9:57 p.m. Let's take a look at how the Soap and Glory All Day Wear Foundation held up. Pretty well, I would say. There's no way this is making 24 hours of wear, but at the 9-hour mark, I think it looks pretty decent. Let's just zoom in and take a look. So I would say my chin has a bit of product gathering, so it's kind of fading away, wearing away, and then gunking up a bit. It settled just a little bit into my lines under my chin. It did not settle into my smile lines, but around my mouth I am getting some sort of bunching up and sinking into my pores. Otherwise, I don't see too many trouble areas. My blush bronzer highlight is still intact. My nose lost a little bit of coverage around my nostrils, but it really doesn't look bad. I would say there's a little bit of caking up going on along the sides of my eyes, like around my temples, but the texture between my eyebrows looks okay. My forehead looks okay. I think the finish is a little bit more dewy than it was at the start of the day. In terms of comfort, I think that this is slightly drying. I am getting slight drag lines around my eyes and my upper cheek area where my skin just feels just a little bit tight and a little bit drier than it did earlier today when I first applied this. So I think if you've got mature skin, it has not settled into my forehead lines or smile lines. It did settle into my deepest chin line, so if you've got deeper wrinkles, it might be an issue. As far as dry skin goes, I'd say it's slightly drying, but considering how dry a time of year this is for my skin, it's not too bad. So you can probably, it's going to be one of those hit or miss. Not too bad, but could be slightly drying, could be okay. I would say in the summer, I probably would not have this problem. It probably wouldn't be additionally drying on me, so not so bad. I do think it's a little bit heavy. I think in terms of appearance anyway, it doesn't feel heavy, but it looks a little bit heavy. It looks a little bit like makeup on top of the skin, and at 12 shades, it's not a very extensive shade range at all. So I think if I were to give a grade to the Soap and Glory All Day Wear, the that shall not be named foundation, I'm going to go low B for this one. I think it wears pretty well. I don't think you're going to get 24 hours out of it because it's already starting to break down at 9 hours on me. It may have oxidized a teeny tiny bit. It's a little bit too dark for me, and this is the lightest shade. So if you're paler than me, you're probably not going to find a shade match without using a lightener. But I'm going to go low B on this one. I think it's definitely wearable. I will continue to play around with it and see if I can get it to wear any better or decrease any of the issues that I have had with it. And if so, I will keep you updated in a future foundation follow-up video. So there you have it for the Soap and Glory. If you have suggestions for foundations you would like to see me review, leave them down in the comments below. I keep a running list and I pick them up whenever I can. The Sephora sale is coming upon us, so I will be buying some new foundations. Of course, those will be high-end because it's Sephora. But let me know what you guys would like to see. Go to my website, geekoutofwater.com, click the Foundation Fest link. I've got a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet of all of my foundation reviews. I do still have to update the last Foundation Fest reviews, and this one will be added very shortly to the spreadsheet. And there are over 120 reviews in that spreadsheet with links to the actual review videos if you would like to check them out. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for new videos, and I appreciate your time. I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.